must fight for what we love. Holding on to our humanity, looking up to God above. For what makes America strong and what makes America proud are the ones who know what freedom's all about. For them there's no loving those who love hate. There's no peace with those who love war. People standing for justice together, that's what makes this great eagle soar. And what makes America great, and what makes America shine, are the lights of justice, truth, and peace burning through the night. Yes, what makes America great, and what makes America shine so bright are the lights of justice, truth, and peace burning through the night.
An interesting sidebar on the story. Famous artist in Brooklyn, Jody Resnick, who's done paintings of some of the other brave people who perished during 9/11, firemen, police officers, also recently completed one of Abe Zelmanowitz. We're here in that studio, and as a parting shot of this portrait of a hero, we just wanted to hear it again from Javi and from Jakob Zelmanowitz. You had mentioned that your brother-in-law and your brother influenced many people by his actions. The fact that he was a Torah-observant Jew, the fact that he was a person who cared about others, what do you think is the picture we should have in our mind of what he represented and what we, every individual, should take as the next step so that it's not just an emotion that's left hanging in the air with a feeling of mere nostalgia for a great person, for great people? What should we do with the portrait of your brother-in-law and your brother that has been indelibly inscribed in so many hearts and minds?
Well, we had heard from so many people through the years, from the beginning, the very beginning, post 9/11, up until now, how much this meant to him to hear this story about a person who, at a time of such a despicable act of terrorism, stood out as a beacon of hope for all, as to the goodness of mankind. And we see it as a lesson in life and how one person should treat another person, how they should act toward another person. And people asked, was it his upbringing, was it the fact that he was a Torah-observant Jew? That played a part in his development, but there was something innate about him that caused him to act the way he did on that day, which is something that not everybody was capable of doing. And we see it as a lesson in life of how we should conduct ourselves, how we should treat our fellow man, and we see it in our own family, how our children have learned from his act, how they interact with people physically and mentally handicapped. And this is a lesson that he has taught us, and for us, this is his legacy to us all.
And Jack, you had a parting word also.
I will add a few words to it. My father used to, I guess I inherited from a certain thing, he used to take sentences and use part of it or all of it. In Hebrew is one of the tefillos, one of the prayers that we'd say in the morning. We say, La'olam yehi adam yirei shamayim. Person should always believe and fear God. So he used to say, La'olam yehi adam, and he would stop right there. You always have to be a mensch. Adam means a mensch. And the irony of this thing that I'm telling you is, Ed B.A., when he was speaking to his nephew...
This is the
one
fellow
time,
that was the paraplegic?
Paraplegic
perished
Ed
as well.
when his nephew would ask him about Abe, what kind of guy is Abe? So Ed B.A. would say, you know, Abe is a mensch. He knew that one word. So the message is, you got to be a mensch. You have to feel for others, and you have to do for others. And when the time comes when you got to really show yourself, be there, do it, and God will bless.
So I guess you had mentioned that there were young people from around the world or older people who contacted you and expressed their feelings to you about this. Can you just tell us a few things about that?
Well, early on, we were contacted, first of all, less than a week after the tragedy, a man in Australia had seen a flyer with the numbers, telephone numbers on it, and he called our daughter and said, I read this story, I heard this story, it was this amazing act, and I just had to pick up the phone and tell you how much it meant to us. We received a letter a month later from a woman in Canada who had a son with cerebral palsy. And the first thing she thought when she heard about it was what happened to people in wheelchairs. And then she read the story of Abe and Ed and how much it meant to her to realize that there are good people out there. And she related the story to her son. And it impressed him so, and he said to her, Mom, I hope I meet a man like that when I get older, and I'll have a friend such as Abe. We recently had a letter from a young girl in Texas who said, I was 11 years old at the time, and I couldn't believe something so bad could happen, and I didn't realize that there was anything good left in this world until I read the story about Abe and Ed. And he restored my faith in the goodness of man. These are just a tip of the iceberg of the letters that we've read about, and the stories we've heard from co-workers. It's just been overwhelming, and this is something that has propelled us because this has meant so much to so many to see the goodness in mankind, and it gives them hope for the future.
If we want to take the next step toward remembering who these great people were, perhaps we should take something upon ourselves in terms of an act of kindness on behalf of our fellow man in some small way. That's for each of us to decide. Looking at Avremel Zalmanowitz, not merely a portrait of a hero, but a portrait of a mensch. This is Harold Zeigler with you on AM Israel. Thank you very much for joining us.
להבין שיש התנהגות שונה של גבר בשעת ירידה מאשר של אישה.
אבא, מצאתי חתן. מה? מי? ראש ישיבת פונוביץ'? אמרה לו לא, ראש ישיבת הכבשים.
חז"ל לימדו אותנו שכל תכונה יכולה להיות חיובית ויכולה להיות שלילית.
התחושה היום שאני יורדת מהבמה היא אחרת לגמרי.
אם תיקח את זה מבחינה סטטיסטית, אתה תראה מיטה מאוד גבוה בין הנטיות הדתיות של הבן אדם לנטיות הדתיות של ההורים שלו.
למען תלך בדרך טובים ואורחות צדיקים תשמור.